Hello, and welcome to the WWIA Podcast. We're honored to have you join us in our mission to bring honor, connection, and healing to America's combat wounded Purple Heart heroes. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we welcome you. If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. Please be sure to tell others about our podcast and leave us a review if you're enjoying what you're hearing. On this latest episode of the WWIA Podcast, WWIA Founder and CEO John McDaniel welcomes a long-standing friend and supporter of the foundation, Mr. Kenny Thompson. Kenny is a part of Mighty Team MO-KAN, an exceptional group of supporters who have been honoring and serving our combat wounded veterans through two outstanding annual events, the MO-KAN Ducks, Bucks, and Trapping event, currently in its 15th year, as well as the MO-KAN Catfishing Event, now in its 7th year. Kenny is an avid and seasoned outdoorsman, having hunted and fished since he was a young boy, and has traveled across the globe in pursuit of his bow hunting passion. Kenny's also an integral part of the leadership team at Basys, a leader in the payments processing industry, and currently serves as Executive Vice President of Partner Relations. We're honored to spend some time with Kenny and hope you enjoy getting to know more about him and his story. Let's jump into the conversation with John and Kenny now.
Hi, I'm John McDaniel, founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation, and this is our podcast, Honor, Connect, Heal. So today I have a very special guest with me, Kenny Thompson. And Kenny, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks, John. Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, me too, man. We're looking at each other we can see each other on the Zoom call, but you can't see us, but we can see each other. And we got big grins on our faces because Kenny and I have hunted together and known each other I probably first met you at the first or second time that you guys ran MO-KAN, but everybody was new to me at that point. But, MO-KAN, the event that you and your amazing team support, is on its 15th year. Can you believe that?
It's insane. Yeah. It's insane. It seems like yesterday.
Yeah. And so I asked Kenny to be on the program because one, he's a great American. Two, he is just somebody that I'm, fond of. I met his father and hunted with you guys on your property a few years ago, and you have just an amazing chunk of terrain there that supports the MO-KAN Missouri, Kansas Ducks and Bucks event. And I was fortunate enough, you honored me by inviting me to your property. I got to meet your dad. I actually hunted with your dad and shot a deer on your, first time out there. Just a beautiful Missouri buck. And, I'll tell you, it was a phenomenal experience. You got a great family. And so tell us a little bit about, let's start with your property. We were just chatting about that. You're a big hunter. Yeah, I see pictures of you. You've hunted all over I'd say the globe, right? I mean, you are a hunter.
A bow hunter, yes.
A bow hunter, yes. All right, a big time bow hunter.
I enjoy it thoroughly, my friend.
Yeah, and you got some amazing animals on your property. So tell us a little bit about what's going on at your property. I mean, what do you guys call it? You call it the cabin?
The cabin.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we have just shy of 300 acres on that farm, John, and it's purchases it back in 1992. Built the cabin a few years later. Now we have the barn and all the toys and the equipment that it takes to actually do what we want to do up there. So we manage it exclusively for wildlife. So primarily deer and turkey, but it's my little slice of heaven. So I can get there in 22 minutes from my garage to the gate. But you've hunted it. It's so hilly. It's timber and creek running through it. It's a little oasis, and it drives my wife nuts how much time and money I spend up there. And I'll be up there thinking I'm away from everything, and she'll call me, and it's 22 minutes. You can come home and take care of whatever it is. But it's a special place, and that's one of the greatest things about connecting with Wounded Warriors in Action is being able to share it with new friends every single year. So
yeah, well, We appreciate you doing that. We certainly do. And something about the bucks up in Missouri. Of course, I hail from Wisconsin. There's big deer up there.
Yeah.
We got a little chunk of property we call Camp Hackett, but that's hardwoods. I mean, it's northern Wisconsin, and there's very little ag where we are. You guys have, I think your property has got a fair amount of agriculture surrounding it. Of course, you got a good mix of hardwoods, and of course, you've got a water source there, all the things that you need to kind of create a wildlife paradise. But it just seems to me like the bucks that you guys, I've seen the pictures, the bucks that you guys have hanging around are just monsters, man.
There's some big boys. We got a couple of big boys on camera this year too. So it's shaping up, and it's been a phenomenal year for wildlife. So we've had ample moisture up where we're at, and like I said, we planted the food plots in spring this year, which is typically something we've never done, but they are looking incredible right now.
Yeah, and you've got all the implements, the tractors, the discs, the sprayers, everything. And so did you have to learn how to do all that like I did?
I grew up on a farm my whole life, so
you had an advantage.
I spent 18, 19, 20 years just doing everything I possibly could to get off the farm, and I've spent the rest of the time trying to figure out how to get back. So.
Well, I'll tell you, there's nothing else like it. If you ask me, I grew up adjacent to a farm in the country, but I am definitely not a farmer. I didn't grow up on a farm, but when I got that property, and the habitat bug bit me, if you will,
it does.
Once you figure out, like I actually made that grow, and look at that, and they're eating it.
Yes.
Holy cow. And then you figure out, they like to bed in that. Just don't leave that alone. Just don't touch that. That's where they like to sleep, sort of thing. And, and then making these micro adjustments, and then, investing all this time and energy in getting your pH in the soil, proper, and all that. But one thing you can't predict, and is rain, and you got to have, that's one of the key components to getting stuff to grow. But when everything lines up and it works out like it sounds like it's doing for you this year, there's just nothing like that feeling. It's a great feeling, isn't it?
It's there's definitely an art and a science to it, but the amount of time and money I spend up there, it's insane. If you actually looked at it, I could, feed my family lobster every day, and I'd be ahead. But
you go,
it's
look
a
at
labor of love, and I absolutely I enjoy it. And as more of the gray hairs sneak into my little so-called beard, your perspective on things change, and it's even more fun sharing it with folks. And I've got a close friend of mine, Dave Crosswhite, I think you've met, from St. Louis, a college buddy of mine that bow hunts with us, but he's the consummate deer hunting pal. He comes over, he works his ass off, he cooks, he cleans, and he doesn't shoot any of the big deer. So he's a great guy to hunt with. Yeah. So
it's like, I saw Scrubby again. I think I'm going to take him tonight if he walks by me,
Exactly.
Gotta love that guy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's good stuff.
No, that's really cool. And your dad is such a wonderful person. Tell me about your dad a little bit. I sat in a deer blind with him, and, so we didn't get a chance to chat a whole lot because we were trying to be quiet, but I just think he's a fascinating man. And I remember him fondly, being, the classic patriarch of the family, a soft-spoken man. But I'd like to hear, your cut on your dad, because when I mentioned his name, your face lit up like a light bulb. And I pray someday that when, somebody mentions me to my boys, the same thing happens. I mean, you got a grin on your face like now, like a rat eating an onion, man. I love it. I love it.
He's a man's man. I mean, 82 years old, still is like the Energizer Bunny. Worked for the railroad his whole life, and never.
That's right.
Never made a tremendous amount of money, but he, coming from the time that he grew up in the 40s, he was a Depression baby, and they cherish every single thing that they've ever been blessed with, and he has instilled that in me, and he's the reason I hunt. I mean, I've got two brothers. They may hunt for a weekend or two in the year. That's it. During rifle season, he bought me my first bow after an elk hunt out in New Mexico, and it was my last rifle hunt ever back in 2009, I believe.
Wow.
And both of our guides had just gotten new bows, and we would get back into camp in the afternoon because it was hot, and they would go out and shoot their bows. I had a bow growing up, never killed anything with it. I just target, and I would go hunting thinking I was a good hunter. And I'm watching these guys shoot a water ball at 50 yards, and I couldn't fathom that with a bow. And so I picked it up and shot it a few times and told my dad, I said, this is the direction I'm going to go into. And fast forward the following spring, he's asking me, we went down and looked at bows. He wanted to go to the bow shop with me and shot all these different bows. And I was like, damn, they're expensive. So I kept putting it off. And finally, he's like, you can't just pick up a bow in November and go hunting. There's a lot more practices involved with a bow, and I soon realized that. But he found out which bow I liked and bought it. And we go up to the cabin turkey hunting one day. It was on a middle of the week, and we come in and had a cup of coffee, and I'm like, I got to get back to work. He's like, well, there's something in here. I think it's yours. I'm like, it's not mine. It's got to be my brother's or something. And he's like, no, I think it's yours. And he had bought me that bow. And we joke about it, but it was the most expensive present I've ever received.
What was it? Do you remember that? Well, of course you remember.
Yeah. It was a Matthews Z7 Extreme. It was when they went to the
What year is that?
2010. And it's crazy.
I got an old MQ2.
Okay.
Like second generation Matthews, but I don't shoot it anymore.
That my wife especially likes to joke that bow's cost me about $1 million probably now. With adding on to my room, made a game room and all the trips to Africa and Alaska and Canada and Florida and Texas.
I've seen the photos of you guys in Alaska. Weren't you guys like, weren't you brown bear hunting with that thing too?
Grizzly hunting. It was.
Did you? I beg your pardon, but did you kill one?
I did not, but I did not get killed either, which is a better story. So we're hunting grizzlies up 4 hours northeast of Anchorage, up near the Wrangell Mountains, and it was the craziest hunt I've ever been on. We were in to kill this big grizzly, and my guide, this was day 4, my guide would show me pictures of bears they've had on cameras on different baits we went to. And he would not show me this bear. So I knew he must be a decent one. So he's like, oh, you'll know him when you see him. And literally 4 hours after being in there, sitting on the ground in a makeshift, just ground blind with logs and limbs around us, sitting in 2 little chairs, and here she comes, and here he's following her, and she was massive. Walked up and rubbed her shoulder against one of the logs we're sitting behind, so I was within 3 feet of this bear. And then here he comes and does the same, except for he comes in, follows the script. I've got my bow in my hand, ready to go, trying to find a time to draw and slip an arrow in. This bear takes about 8 steps and then smells us and turns around and comes right back to us. My guide, I see him out of the corner of my eye, sitting behind me trying to reach for his gun against the logs on our side. And finally, when that bear got, I don't know, I could touch him with my arrow. And he was massive, just snarling, and knew he did not want us there with his girlfriend. So finally my guide grabbed the gun and pulled it up, and he wheeled off, and he's like, stick her. And I'm like, I don't want her, I want him. And he's like, be ready. If she's here, he's coming back. And 20 minutes later, he finally gets her out of there, and we never got a shot. But it was,
oh my gosh,
the most insane thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm fine. I was calm, cool, until it was over. And I set my bow in my lap. My arrow is just sitting there, just going tick, 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 on the rest. I'm like, okay, I set it down, and then all of a sudden my legs start shaking. My core is just, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I was like, that would be a cool story if you had to go. He got eaten by a grizzly bear. Not that he had a heart attack and crapped his pants after the fact. Right. So it was my guide, who's the outfitter, actually said in 17 years, never experienced anything like that. And so it was one of those ones that got away, but it was probably 10 times cooler story. So.
Oh my! How big do you now? Was it the male? You were after the male.
Yeah.
Okay. How big was the boar?
He was big. My guide said he would have been top 3 that they've ever killed up there.
So, but this is an interior grizz, right?
Correct. So
yeah. You're up in the Wrangell St. Elias.
He said he would have gone 9 foot.
Oh my God!
Easily.
Yeah.
So, and we killed a couple of buddies, killed smaller ones, 7-footers, but after seeing that, I wanted to hold off for him, but we never got another shot. So.
Wow, that's a great story, man. I'm glad it ended the way it did because that, as you know, that bear right there doesn't play. That ain't a black bear.
No. Yeah. So, and we had an opportunity on another bear. It wasn't as big the last night, right before dark, and so it was 11:30 at night or whatever, and I screwed that one up. So here he come in. We were sitting at a tree stand this time, and I go to pull my bow up between my legs, and my release hits the stand, and tink, and that was all she wrote. So
yeah. That's one thing about bow hunting that I'm an avid bow hunter. I always have been. I love it. But the margins for error, are so slow or slim rather. It's unbelievable. And when you think about pursuing difficult things, the pursuit of the difficult, archery, big game hunting, archery with archery equipment is in that arena, and then certainly going for dangerous game animals like grizzly bear with it puts it at a whole new dimension.
Yeah,
and twist. But yeah,
it's big risk, big reward. It's
right.
Obviously a very sadistic personality that you have to be a bow hunter. And sadistic / optimistic, I'd say, because every day is probably there's a 2% chance of success, but every day you're thinking today's the day. And it probably isn't, but
yeah. Well, I've hunted up at our property in North Woods of Wisconsin for 18 years and never killed a buck.
Oh, wow.
What does that tell you?
That's probably average statistics right there.
Yeah. But to think that I'm going to go up there in the North Woods on, a large parcel of property with all the preds, the wolves, the bear, et cetera, and get one of those monsters. I've let several walk, I'm not interested in shooting a basket 6 or a basket 8, that's not why I'm there.
Yeah.
And I do take deer, for my family. I take one every other year usually, and does. But, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm not interested in anything but one thing. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and that's like on my bucket list, believe it or not, is to with my bow is to knock down one of those big monsters that roam around out there. But they're smart, they're hard to get to, and if you think you're gonna go up there in a weekend and do that, as my buddy likes to say, I hope you brought your lunch.
It's so true. Our last hunt that Dad's probably going to go on, big hunt. We went down to West Texas. We were 9 miles off the Mexican border, 3 hours southwest of El Paso, and we were hunting Aoudad in the Chiante mountain range. And the outfitter kept telling me, "You're not going to kill one of these with a bow. You don't understand." I was like, "Well, what are my odds?" And he goes, "Less than 3%." I'm like, "Perfect." And he couldn't understand that I was, and he, everybody rifle hunts them, and I'm like, I'll pay you the same amount. I want the opportunity. And so after day 3, he bet on a 5-day hunt. He bet my guide that a free hunt if we got it done. And my guide was more excited. So I finally got one at 62 yards on the evening of day 4. So, coming down to crunch time, and the jubilation and the celebration afterwards. My guide, this kid was more excited than me because he got a free hunt out of the deal with his bow. So
that's cool.
Yeah, first person to ever do it with a bow. But most people don't even. It's not that I'm some extraordinary bow hunter. It's most people don't have the patience or the gamble or their bet. So
yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah, that's a funny critter there. We hunted them many years ago with the foundation out of near Roswell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we all tagged out. That's an interesting critter, you know. I mean, it really is.
They're so cool. Those chaps when they're coming down to the Rocky Mountains and just they're. Have you hunted the Gemsbuck or Oryx out there in New Mexico on the Missile Range?
No.
That's on my bucket list. That would be fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so let's. We could talk about that stuff all day long, but let's talk about your involvement. With the foundation. We said, earlier, you support one of our most vibrant chapters there, MO-KAN, which, by the way, is done. This year will be the 15th year that you guys have put this on. Brian Roderick and his team have put this thing on. Terry Supple and all those great Americans. That they're putting for 15 years they've put I think 10 combat wounded Purple Heart recipients out there in the Ducks and Bucks event that you guys have, and it's
every year,
every year. I mean, every year, and now the Department of Natural Resources is involved, so there's a trap line component to it, and then they started about 7 years ago. They started a catfishing event, so. What an amazing opportunity for our heroes, and it's probably our number one requested event. Everybody, I don't think there is anybody that doesn't want to go to MO-KAN. I mean, they kill more ducks than polio's killed people, and just everybody gets. I mean, you go out there and you guys kill trophy animals, trophy whitetail deer. And that's just never happened at our camp up there in northern Wisconsin. So I know how difficult it is. But you guys got guys up there that have been preparing this spot for a hero. They wouldn't even let their brother hunt it. Seriously. And they're like, no, that's all right. We're saving that for the heroes. And then a combat wounded guy they don't know. They escort him to their tree stand. And sit there with them and. Sometime that day, they're going to knock down a world-class, Missouri or Kansas timber buck, and it's really quite incredible. But so you've been supporting that with your own land and your family, and that's phenomenal. But you work for a company called Basys, right?
Correct.
And you guys just did a monster fundraiser and raised over $10,000. To support our heroes. And I wanted to publicly thank you for that. I know your leadership was 100% behind it. But please, tell us about Basys, and then tell us a little bit about, the fundraising activity that you did. I'd love to hear it.
Well, it's something near and dear to my heart. So I was the very first employee at Basys 21 and a half years ago. And Our CEO and founder, Brad Odo, has become one of my best friends. His family, you've met his dad actually at an event. And that's probably one of the biggest things that we offer. We started in a closet at one of our sister companies, almost 22 years ago. So we do payment processing. So very glamorous credit card, debit card processing. We work with banks across the country. We work with software partners across the country, and we process for their customers. We have many direct accounts and enterprise level accounts, but we never set out to be the biggest, but we're, top 30 processor in the country as far as volume now. But we really excel in that card not present space. So think e-commerce, anytime that there's a transaction without the card being present, especially in the B2B circumstances, that's kind of our bread and butter. So we're top 15 in that space, but we're the largest family-owned processor. We've not sold out. We've never taken an ounce of private equity or joint venture money, which is probably couldn't do it today. Nobody could do what we did 20 some years ago today.
Right.
So like I said, we've morphed into a technology company so we can integrate our payments into virtually any platform out there, software, what have you. And we've got really tech heavy. So we had a tech team of probably 2 people two and a half, 3 years ago. We have 47 on the product technology team, and they're doing some crazy things. So we've hired a lot of really, really smart people, and it's been a fun ride. And in a way, it feels like we're just getting started. So we can take care of people better than the big boys and give them the same or better pricing. So it's a fun spot to be in. It's a fun spot to be in now that we're actually profitable and debt free, so we can make decisions. We're very, very big in the philanthropic, circles. We love to give back. We've been so blessed and fortunate what we've done in the last 20 some years. So we give all of our employees. We have almost 200 employees now. Everybody gets $500 to donate to a charity of their choice. We've got approved charities, like I think 12 different charities today.
Awesome.
And I fought pretty hard to get WWIA in there. So that's where the money came from last year, and I'm hoping we can increase that again this year and just get the word out, because it is something. It goes back to, you mentioned Roderick, but from Brian and Lance and Brad and Doug and Terry, Kyle Evans is who personally,
and his wife,
Kyle and Carrie, God bless them. They do a lot, and I don't know how Kyle makes it happen on that whiteboard that they have up at Napier. Keeps everybody lined up.
It's what we call a sync matrix.
Yes,
synchronization matrix. And it's complicated. And
I'd call it smoke and mirrors, but
yeah, right. I love it.
It's so what they've done, and I was probably my dad. My dad was the hardest one to convinced that we got to become a part of this. And he's like, I know how much time and effort you spent up there, and you got these guys. You really want to bring in a couple hunters to possibly? And I'm like, after I went to my first banquet 12 years ago, I'm like, hell yes, I want to be a part of this. And
that's cool.
Now I couldn't get Dad to say no. So we've both enjoyed, obviously. My dad is the one that gets to spend the time with our new heroes every single year, and he likes that. I have to babysit our buddy Jake Whipke. So Jake, after the very first time. So Jake was my very first hunter ever, and he said, I know all about what you guys do up here, and with all due respect, Mr. Thompson, I'm not going to come up here and just shoot an average buck. He said, if you'll give me permission to take one of the hit list guys if I see him. And so I showed him the 3 or 4 bucks we had on our hit list. The only one that none of us had ever seen on the hoof was a deer called Gnarls Barkley. He was an old, probably 6.5-year-old deer that was just on his way down, but he mass and wide and just a stud deer. And that's the deer Jake got that first trip up. So it couldn't have happened. It couldn't have wrote a better script. So
wow,
I was hooked.
Well, that's phenomenal. I appreciate you sharing all that with us, and thanks again for what Basys is doing for the foundation and other charities. It's really great when you you work in an organization that has a culture that people enjoy, and thrive in. And I was on your website and I watched, I saw your CEO and under the About tab, and, there was a video of the employees, talking about what life is like at Basys, and they all have smiles. They're all relaxed. I mean, you can tell. I mean, you can't make that stuff up.
No,
you either have that going on or you don't have that going on. That's corporate culture. And that's a leadership thing.
Thank you. And it's harder and harder. It was really easy when we had 10 people and 27 and then 50, and with 200 it's difficult. So that's kind of my adjunct title, is chief culture officer. And
I couldn't agree with you more, man. That's what I say all the time. Is like, well, senior leaders don't need to be spending time and have their finger on the pulse. And there's ways of doing it.
Yes.
Okay. Of understanding, where we are, where is this culture what I want? Okay. And when it needs to be adjusted, how do you adjust it?
Yep.
That right there is a leader task. And so you hit it right on the head, if you ask me.
It's it's our competitive advantage. So
Yes.
we're dealing with, the big five out in our industry that are all publicly traded. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they have to make decisions based on next quarterly profits, reports. We can make decisions to take care of our partners and to make our partners look good to their customers, which is what we've been doing for 20 years. And now we just do it at a little grander scale, and it still pays big dividends. The golden rule is still in play today, and most companies don't realize that, I don't think. So
yeah,
it's been fun.
Well, good. Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
So, I'm just curious. I mean, I don't want to have you say something you're not prepared to say, but I mean, how much longer are you going to be at this before you take your sneakers and throw them up on the wire?
That's a great question. That's the $1 million question. My partner, our CEO, is basically never. We've set up some things, and we've got a pretty lofty goal ahead of us. We're looking to double the company within the next 2 to 4 years, which is insanity, the size that we've gotten. But we think it's very doable, and it's kind of a fun new little challenge. Unlike back in the year 6, 7, 8, where we still hadn't turned a profit, or we weren't profitable because we were putting all of our money back into growing the company and taking care of our customers and our partners. So it's kind of a new challenge, if you will. It's that bow hunter mentality again. It's like, let's see if we can do this. And I probably will never go away in entirety, but as you know, I live in Florida now and spend a lot of time down there, and COVID taught us that we can work from anywhere. So like we're having this conversation today, it's no different.
Yeah. Well, I know when we were in the pre-show, as we were chatting, you told me you're in the Panhandle. I was like, what? I knew you had, at least I thought you had some property there, but I didn't know that you were, hot bunking.
Yes.
And that's so cool, because I was telling you earlier, my boys and I just love the Panhandle, and we were up there frog gigging and Apalachicola. Yeah. Have you been to Apalachicola?
Not yet, but it's on my wife's list. She wants to take the day trip over there.
You need to go. Yeah, you're going to love it.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half from us, probably.
Piece of cake, man.
Yeah.
And it's really, really wonderful up in there, and lots of opportunities for sportsmen. But yeah, I always wondered, they call it, the Forgotten Coast.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, or the Hidden Coast or something like that. And every time I've been up there, I'm like, I can't believe how underdeveloped it is.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that out loud.
No,
right?
let's keep this a secret. Let's edit that part out.
I'm telling. Yeah. All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's true though.
It is.
Right. I mean, I was blown away by how much property there is available. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it's state,
yes,
maybe it might be state or county or federal land, but it just feels to me like Florida should feel. I don't know how that sounds, but it's really, really nice. I love it up there.
That's probably the greatest thing about 30A is there's 24-mile stretch on the coast that is it's still underdeveloped for Florida standards. Yeah, no high rises. I mean, you can't be more than 54 feet high or something. There's no chain restaurants. Eight little communities that all have a different vibe. So we're in Grayton Beach. Our house sits in a little subdivision that is completely surrounded by a state park or state forest. So it'll never be developed around us. On the other side, where we walk across the street, 38 to walk to a beach, it's state park, and it is like old school Florida.
Yeah, I love it. We took our trailer up there, the boys and I did, and I was just it was an advanced reconnaissance mission, which I do a lot of,
yes,
just because I'm like, hey, not just for me and my boys, but for the foundation. I might find like, hey, I'd frog gigged as a kid. My boys and I bow fish all the time, like every day. I mean, we live on the water, so there's all.
I'm gonna have to come down there and join you on that.
Oh yeah,
I've only done it once.
Oh my God, it's so much fun,
Yes.
man. I mean, we just have a hoot, and there's a couple of species. Well, one in particular that's unregulated, meaning you can shoot as many of them as you want. And the same thing was like bullfrogs. I mean, what's the bag on this? The guy goes, bag. I go, yeah, there's the bag limit. He goes,
as many as you can carry.
He just looks at me and shakes his head like, don't ask stupid questions, dude. I'm like, okay, Roger that.
Well, I don't know if
we're in Florida.
I don't know if you remember this, but I think you hooked me up on my gator hunt down in outside of Fort Myers. I think you gave me a couple places and to look into, and oh my God, we had a hoot on that deal.
Yeah, I know. It's so great, right? So anyway, one of the species here that you can shoot as many as you want, we don't, because a couple of them go a long ways. But the cow-nosed ray,
really,
yeah, and they taste like scallops.
Oh, my wife.
And the heads. That you take we use all of it, minus the entrails, you don't do anything with that. But the head is the best bait for big shark that there is.
Really?
Oh yeah. You can't. I'll tell you this story real quick. I wasn't planning on telling it, but I'll tell it now. So we had one of these had the head of a cow-nosed ray in the freezer from last year. And one of the ones we didn't use. And,
like, how big are we talking for this head?
They're okay. So the size of a small cake.
Oh, wow.
They're pretty good size.
Yeah.
Yeah. These things are dense animals, man.
Huh.
And when they come through in hordes, like just like a flock.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you catching them, or are you sticking them?
Sticking them.
Nice.
Yeah. That's the whole point. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, run an arrow through them, and then let the fun begin. Because we do it on the flats; they can't go down.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so they go laterally. Everywhere. It's fun. Oh yeah, it's fun. Oh. It's fun. The boys are just they're crazy over it.
That's awesome.
But because now you got to hand line them in, But anyway, so we get this cow-nosed ray and this head, and we go out. The boys go, Dad, we want to go sharking, and I go, okay, let's do it. So we load up the boat, go out there, got this, got all the chum and everything. We go out by this big marker out there in the bay, Tampa Bay, and we anchor up, and I start chumming, and and then all of a sudden, Dylan, who's up at the front of the boat, we were probably into it maybe an hour, and Dylan, who's up at the front of the boat, turns around and looks at me with this look on his face like he can't talk. Like he wants to say something, but he can't. And then he goes, shark, dead, huge shark. It's as big as the boat. And I didn't see it. And it was an 18-foot flat skiff, but we're anchored up. And that kid knows, he knows what's what, he's 10 years old, but he knows what's what. And just the look on his face, I didn't see the fish. Well, anyway, about literally like maybe 15 seconds later, one of the rods goes off, and it's sizzling, man. And I grab the rod, and I figure it's got to be this shark, right? And so I grab the rod, which is not typical in the bay. Now you get closer out there to the Gulf, where the bay meets the Gulf. Yep. It's good chance of getting into a real big shark if you want to do it, like hammerheads. When the tarpon are around. That brings a lot of big hammerheads in, but so this turns out to be a bull shark, right? And a big bull shark, and he grabs this thing, and I hooked him up, and I could feel the weight of it, and I'm like, that is a big fish, and I'm getting ready to pass the rod over to the boys because that's what I do. I make sure he's hooked up, and then they fight this fish. Well, there was no stopping him, no turning him, no nothing. He went straight for the structure, there's a big tripod structure out there that's got a communications tower, and that's where we were near. We were about 100 yards away from the thing set up, and it went right for that thing, and ping, it was over just like that before it even started.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so we had some fun out there. We love it.
That is awesome. I've never done anything like that.
Yeah, we'll have to get you out there, man.
Yes.
Well, listen, I'm going to give you a last whack at the pinata here, buddy. If you have any saved rounds or anything that you'd like to share with us, would love to hear from you.
Oh, dude, I started making a list, but I mean, obviously we hunted with you. Jake was my maiden voyage with hunting through MO-KAN. And
Jake Whipke,
oh boy, the whip. And I mean, from Danny White to Mike Riles, Nate Shoemaker, Brett Bondurant, Gabe hunted with us last year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Fieros.
Yep.
So you're getting all
Jason Stevens.
You're cherry picking, man. You're taking all the good dudes, as you should. I mean that. You know what? Because they anyway.
I haven't had a bad one, so I don't.
No, those are all top notch dudes.
Good dudes, and I still talk to them somewhat regularly, which is the cool thing.
Well, that's the good stuff, right? I mean, that's the good stuff.
You know, in our little MO-KAN video, it's like these guys come as complete strangers, and how they leave his family 3 or 4 days later.
Amen.
You can't fake that, and
No.
It's just good dudes meeting good dudes, and they all have a common bond and theme, and they're all good Americans. And your honor, heal, and connect motto is couldn't be better. I mean, with the 22 a day that you know, veterans that we lose, it's kudos to you, my friend, for doing what you've done and starting a movement like you have. So,
brother, thank you, man. You know, it's just every day. You know, of course, I'm just coming. You know, we were scheduled to do this last week, but I had the COVID.
Yeah,
at number 4 for me. Thank you. Yeah. So, but good thing I got that vaccination. You know what I mean?
God, thank God, we still have you with us.
Yeah, I know, man. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm like a cockroach. I'm just hard to kill. I just keep coming at you. Like, oh, there he is again.
Yeah.
But you know, so I was gone for a few days out of the office, and I come back, and there's a pile of things for me to sign. And that's not atypical, but you know, these are all thank yous, you know, recognition, rewards, and things like this, you know, for people that have supported the cause. And we have a full-time person now, Caitlin, that does all of our thank yous and recognition awards and things like this. And she's busy, very busy. And so here I am, day one back in the office. Of course, yesterday was a holiday, and I'm signing these things. I read them all. I sign them. Take the time to do a little note, and I just paused there for a minute. And I was like, you know, this job, I've been doing that for 18 years. I'm personally signing everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you gave us money or support, and you're getting, you know, I'm signing something for you, you know, and I say, you know, when this starts to get old for me, I'm going to stop doing this job. I'll look at you.
I've got a few sitting here on my desk.
Yeah, exactly.
Along with one of our, can't see it with me sitting here, but one of our little auction items from the MO-KAN event. My American flag. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'll tell you, I'm just humbled by it. Okay. And that's by the point, you know, wasn't me signing paperwork, but the point is that I you know, overcome, you know, as I was reflecting on, you know, the beginning of this thing and the genesis, and, you know, and I'll say this, you know, Brian, Roderick, and, you know, of course, you know, he's got a great supporting cast. You know, Doug was there, you know, the Lance, you know, eventually Bradley, you know, and so here we are. It was those three, the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse, me and Jake, and some heroes in a hotel. First time at MO-KAN 15 years ago. And Brian, you know, I think we hunted that day. Maybe it was the last day. I can't remember, you know, but it was during the event. The heroes got checked in their room. And Brian's like, come on over here. I got something for you. I'm like, okay. So Jake and I, you know, saunter over to his truck. He, you know, opens up the, you know, back of the truck, and he pulls out this, you know, bank bag, and he hands it to me. And I'm like, I didn't say anything. I mean, I looked at Jake, I looked at the bag, I looked at Brian, I opened it up, I zip, and I look in it, and it's stuffed full of cash, full of money.
Yeah.
And checks, and I zipped it back up, and I handed it back to him, and I said, I don't know what this is, but he's like, that's for you. I go, what do you mean that's for me? He goes, we raised that for you. And I was like, I probably started blowing snot bubbles, man.
Yeah.
It never happened.
Really?
That was the very first time.
No kidding.
Swear to God, 15 years ago, the very first time anybody handed me money from an event.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And yeah, awesome. So, I mean, MO-KAN has been, has obviously been leading the way in many, many ways. But, when you start adding up, here's the equation, like the secret sauce, right? It starts with some super high quality people whose names we've already mentioned.
Yep.
That have an idea and say, you know what, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. So it starts with that idea and high quality people. And then on top of that, you have to superimpose an opportunity, where we can go pursue wild game, and do that in an effective and efficient manner in a place that's, doesn't have to necessarily be teeming with game, but whether it provides good opportunities for our hunting and fishing exploits, right? So there's that piece. And the other piece is critical to it, is this idea of community engagement.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a team, right? And now you got these leaders who are building this team all for a cause to help our nation's combat wounded, and there you go. Now you've got the components, all the components for, to be successful in that space. And you guys certainly are. You've been knocking it out of the park, and I just I couldn't be more proud of you and that entire team. It's really amazing.
Well, thank you, sir. And obviously the feeling is mutual. So it's crazy to you just kind of reflected on it for a second, but the ripple effect that you started, what did you say, 18 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to sit back and kind of pinch yourself at times to see, oh my God, the people that you've positively affected. I mean, one of our hunters that I still talk to all the time, I basically told me that I felt like I had zero purpose in his life. And that weekend opened my eyes that there's actually people that I had no idea actually cared. And that's pretty powerful. And it's to let somebody come shoot a 160-inch buck off my place seems like a pretty small thing to do. So,
buddy, I got to tell you, you just touched on it right there. That and I got goosebumps when you said it. And these guys and gals that go off and wearing our country's uniform and into combat someplace and defending freedom and executing the orders that are issued to them to accomplish those our national objectives, whatever they might be. And then they get wounded and they have to a lot of times take off their uniform because their service, they can no longer serve their country. So the one thing that they really wanted to do, they no longer can do, and they have to leave it, and and that leaves a huge void in their life. And now they're back on the block, and they sometimes they unfortunately turn to drugs or alcohol, or then they have financial issues. They're not being told what to do, when to do, and how to do it, and that their team is gone, and then they start drifting, and then bad things start happening, right? But to have people like you in your community open their homes, their hearts, and give of their resources to people that you don't know, and have never met before, and who've done this for their country and come back, and now you're doing this for them. It must be a feeling like no feeling they've ever had.
Whatever they get from it, I don't think touches what we get from it. Just the conversations I've had with my guys up here that are involved, and just the hug I get from Jake every single year when he pulls in down the lane to the cabin is I mean, I couldn't put a price on. I know. I wish I could bottle that up. That's no lie. It's and you touched on it there, and that was something I didn't understand for a number of years. That I guess I didn't understand the magnitude of what these guys and gals are going through. That they're part of a team, and that team is taken away, and everybody that I've met is like, with the exception of one, and he had a very valid reason why he was like, I'm done, I'm good. If they could all go back, they would go back immediately. And some of the things these guys have done to get wounded in combat, I mean, shit, it makes my bear story look tame. They 95% of them all are like, I wish I could get back there, tomorrow. So
I know
they're excellent human beings to have shows that somebody does care for them, because I think it's kind of questionable at times with our national political landscape today. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, we're doing something. That's one of the great little voids, that charities can fill.
Yes,
they really can. And it's the government can't do it and should not do it. When the government gets involved in things, I'm not going to go off here on a tirade, but when the government gets involved, we need government, okay? And it's really good for certain things like national defense and funding it and all of this. The instruments of power that we need to have control of and dominate in space in that space, but we don't want them involved in things like that. They can't do something like this. So there's this space here that is a small space, but we can fill that with a lot of goodness. And we can use the government's help, and it does help us. The government does provide some limited opportunities for charities and veterans in the way of grants. So I think they're doing what they reasonably can, but the rest of it is really up to our society. That's what we've got to do, right? We've got to fill that void somehow. But it is. It's an honor and it's a privilege, and I do pinch myself, and I'm reminded. When we were, at the height of we're still engaged in the global war on terror. Let's be honest about it. But in the height of these things, when I was at Special Operations Command here in Tampa as my last assignment, and it was 05, 06, and 07. The pretty tough years for the home team.
Yeah,
and that's when a lot of these guys got wounded, and so we were hiring some of the brightest minds on the planet to help us understand, how it is that we're going to, be successful in the global war on terror as the global synchronizer of this operation. As SOCOM got tagged with the global synchronizer of the GWAT, if you will. So we're just trying to wrestle this thing to the ground and figure it out. And we were bringing in all these 100-pound heads from Harvard and Princeton and Yale, and these really smart people that were telling us about we were learning about the ideology and formulating our plans on how we were going to defeat them, yada yada yada. And so one of the things was this idea, ideology defeating, an idea. Well, I don't want to get too deep into this, but it's hard to defeat a good idea. The terrorists have a lot of bad ideas.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's really hard to defeat bad ideas when somebody's that committed to it too, right?
That's amen.
Right. I mean, they're just as committed to they got bad ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, those are some of those really bad ideas, and they've really, twisted and contorted, their, a religion in a sense. But it's also equally as hard to defeat a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
And when you have a good idea
with the commitment,
and other people start grabbing it and running with it, then you've got something. It's hard to defeat bad ideas, but it's equally as hard, if not harder, to defeat a good idea when people are committed to it.
You came up with a good idea, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and I'm honored that you and your team there have grabbed onto it, and I thank you again for all that you've done, and I look forward to seeing you in the wood line.
Yes,
once again someday.
I hope,
and maybe on the water, man. Yeah. I mean, we're
yes.
going to be we live in the same state now.
I know. Let's make that happen. Like I said, I'll be down there after Christmas through March. So
okay,
let's find a way. I'll come down and go hunt some sharks with you.
Yeah, man, let's do that.
Yes,
that would be a lot of
that
fun.
Would be phenomenal.
All right. You got it, buddy. Thanks for everything you do.
Hey, thank you, John. I appreciate it. It's very fun being a small part of this organization.
You're a great human being, and please thank your leadership and all the folks at Basys that did a great job raising all that money. We genuinely appreciate it.
You bet. It's our pleasure, brother.
All right, Kenny. All right. I'll talk to you later,
all
buddy.
Right. See you, man.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WWIA Podcast. To learn more about the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at WWIAF.org or follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. If you'd like to comment or offer feedback about our podcast, or if you have a suggestion for a future episode, please email us at podcast@WWIAF.org. Thank you for your support and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.